there will be no other option but to continue this persistent burden on the formal sector, to reduce the tax rates on those who are already paying the taxes and penalize those who are still out of the tax net. Those companies will be allowed to get commercial imported cars. It means that on average there will be 110% duty for imported cars, and exports are not up to the desired mark. It will result into the widening of the trade deficit, which ultimately will also hike the current account deficit. But it is not a good sign for the Pakistan's economy. And tax burden on multinational companies is massive. It should be reduced.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Welcome to All of You Business. Sir, I'll begin the podcast with the first question. Our Finance Minister, Aurangzeb, he has reaffirmed the resolve to implement tax reforms, and he has said that it's the government's role to actually provide an enabling environment for the private organization and to ensure the macroeconomic stability. How do you see that, sir? And when we talk about the tax reforms, is this statement coming from a point when we know that IMF has raised the concerns about lots of things with FPR?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for having me. Actually, macroeconomic stability has been achieved, but the tax rates have not been reduced up to the desired mark. If we analyze the last budget, the tax rate for the salaried class were reduced little bit, but there is still room for improvement. But there is an argument of the IMF that if Pakistan wants to reduce or slash down the tax rates of formal sector, especially the manufacturing and the salaried class, Pakistan will have to broaden the tax base. So the solution lies in broadening of the tax base. If we were unable to broaden the tax net, then there will be no other option but to continue this persistent burden on the formal sector. And this tax reform means that we are going to broaden the tax base and we are going to reduce the tax rates for the formal sector. And that should be the future of the tax reforms in Pakistan. Unfortunately, till recently, we have seen that all those sectors are burdened more which are already in the tax net. Now the time has come when there is a new need to reduce the tax rates on those who are already paying the taxes and penalize those who are still out of the tax net.
Sir, when we talk about the imported cars, now we have new sanctions. According to new policy, with Pakistan now requiring international safety emission standards and strict inspections for imported vehicles and limiting imports to licensed companies only, how do you think this will impact car buyers, importers and the auto industry? And do you think it's going to affect the interest of people?
Actually, the Economic Coordination Committee of the Cabinet has approved the National Tariff Plan, under which they have imposed 40% regulatory duty up to the car of age of 5 years. Earlier, there were 3 different schemes under which the cars were being imported into Pakistan. But it was not allowed to import, commercial import was not allowed earlier. Now the ECC has approved that commercial import is allowed, provided certain condition. For instance, there will be certain restrictions for the safety standards. And the second is that only those companies which are enacted through the Companies Act 2017 those companies will be allowed to get commercial imported cars. Currently, there is 40% regulatory duty in addition to the existing duty structure. It means that on average, the existing duty structure is about 70% tax plus 40% regulatory duty. It means that on average, there will be 110% duty for imported cars. But there is a difference. Earlier, anyone can import 3 years old car, but now he or she will be allowed or permitted to import 5 years old cars. It will enhance a competitive environment in auto sector, and the real benefit should be reaped to the ultimately customers on account of affordable prices, as well as the quality of cars should also be improved. So the local manufacturers now, they are going to face more competition through the imported cars. And there is another thing. We have seen that in the first quarter, the trade deficit has widened, and it has already touched up to the mark where there is a need to have a close look on it, because otherwise, if imports are going to increase and exports are not up to the desired mark, it will result into the widening of the trade deficit, which ultimately will also hike the current account deficit, and that is the major risk for Pakistan's economy. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't allow the imported cars. For the auto sector, there is a need of more competition.
And sir, this will definitely bring a lot of competition, which will be healthy. Sir, as we are talking about Pakistan's economy, earlier we talked about in the one of the previous podcasts, we talked about the Yamaha's exit from Pakistan, and we all know that recently P&G has also decided to exit from Pakistan, to halt their operations, and now Gillette Pakistan Board plans voluntary delisting from PSX. How do you see that, sir? And when we talk about that Pakistan is going to become a hub of international investments, lots of companies like this are bidding farewell to Pakistan. Where do you see Pakistan's economy going?
Actually, it is not a good sign for the Pakistan's economy, because if the multinational companies are preferring to exit from Pakistani market, it is not a good sign. But we should also analyze that it is part of their global strategy, because they have announced that they are going to undertake restructuring of their parent company. So they have decided to delete at least 7,000 jobs all across the board, including they are halting their operations in Pakistan. But it is not a good sign for the Pakistan's economy that on one side we are trying to attract the foreign investors, and on the other side we are seeing that multinational companies are exiting from Pakistan. It is not a good sign, but there is a need to ensure consistency in policies, and which we have discussed earlier, that there is a need to reduce the cost of doing business in Pakistan, and there is a need to reduce the tax burden on the formal sector, and tax burden on multinational companies is massive. It should be reduced.
And how do you see that? In what tenure or in what time Pakistan will be able to do that?
Actually, we cannot be doing it without broadening of the tax base, because we have seen that multinational companies are paying the taxes, but there is a massive informal sector operating in Pakistan. At least 50% and more than 50% is outside the tax net. So there is a need to broaden the tax base, and there is a need to bring all those who are outside the tax net, that they should come into the tax net, and it can be done if we incentivize them. And there should be policy of carrot and stick, because there is no solution that if we will have only carrot and there is no stick. So it should be done simultaneously. There should be carrot and stick for both, and there is a need to ensure enforcement.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.